All right, it's another beautiful time on the program this morning. Welcome to another edition of the Bumper Breakfast on Mitv. My name is Stanley Paul Ikao, and if you're just joining us, I will come to you Mondays through Fridays from the hours of 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Yes, from Tuesdays it's always 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. But on Mondays it's 8 to 9:30 a.m. Trust me, we are on DSTV channel 255, on StarTime channel 119. Now you can also watch MITV on YouTube, on Facebook. Download the app, Limex app, and definitely will be on the go, and definitely you won't miss any of the action. Once again, my name is Stanley Polika, and trust me, in our usual style and manner, we're here as always to dissect, analyze, in-depth analysis from experts and professionals without any form of bias or insult, bias, sentiment, and the likes. So, like I said, today would not be any way differently. I'm being joined by someone that I respect so much, a man who has seen it all. Yes, by considering his experience, yes, vast experience in his sector, the oil and gas sector. And each time he is on the program with us, I learn. Just like Tom said some time ago that she learns from me, I also learn, because learning is a curve. We learn every day. What you know is what you know. Like they always say, there's always the need for you to learn something new. Aki Fatuke joins me on the program this morning. Aki, good morning. Welcome to the Bumper Breakfast.
Thank you very much, Stanley. Always a pleasure to be here, to share, to also learn, because of position, or views that are diametrically different from yours. There's always a to learn from. Thank you, and good morning to our listeners. Great to be here.
Aki, every day we live, there's the need to take important priority, pay important priority or attention to our health. Some are wealthy, they can afford every medical service, they can afford the best of health facilities across the world, but then you wake up and you say, yeah, this person is gone, that person is gone, that person is gone. Would we say it's as a result of some not taking proper care of themselves, or even those that do, they still end up losing their life? Now, I'm talking about one wonderful woman, lovely, I must tell you, Pastor Mrs. Yomi Ute. Ni Amos, she lost her life just some couple of weeks after her sister lost her life. What could be the reason for all of this?
Times and tide waits for no one, and like John Donne had proffered, we must continually laugh at death because they are inevitable. You are so right. Yes, there are areas that we need to take care of our health and well-being. There's also an era that we are just like chaff that are blown away. Shakespeare talked about us being actors on a stage. We are mere mortals. I thank you for the mention about my very younger sister in the profession, highly respected, Oluyomi Ute. If by a few correspondences that we had, and I'm sure this will resonate with quite a number of people, including you, I didn't see death coming. Well, okay, right? She took slightly ill, but I didn't see death coming. Last time, she was so glad. Like you said a few weeks ago, we had to also bury another professional colleague who happens to be her blood sister, Yetunde Ogunsheye, Ni Amos. She had to go to the US, and she was so glad that we remembered her. The husband was here. We did at Falomo there, Church of Assumption, Falomo, and she was so glad to see her husband and professional colleagues in Coopers and Library of Nigeria. And she was so thrilled and excited, and she was all thanks. And then is that Yomi had passed. She would have been 57, early December of this year, and I happen to know that she's so close and the family to Tomisi, who used to be here, and my heart goes out to Gilbert, to Jessica, her daughter, and the entire Amos family. Indeed, the entire Coopers and Librand alumni Nigeria, who right now are in money mood. We cannot just understand it. For good reason and for good purpose, I have been at forums, and because I know you are a supermarket when it comes to issues of broadcasting. You have even seen it in sports because you are a sports analyst. We have seen people effervescent, ready to play. Okwaraji is an example, and he was playing, and then cardiac arrest then came. This can happen to all of us, and so, as John Donne said, I repeat, dead be not proud. Yes, some have called you mighty and doubtful. You are not so. Your way has got to take a bow and rest. We should all remember that time sublime, it is a duty and a responsibility and a reminder to say, live well, and when it comes knocking, no one can stop it. To the UTES, to the Amos, to the entirety of our Coopers and Librand alumni in Nigeria, both old and young, mourning, crying, weeping may endure for the night, but I like to say joy. By the kind of remembrance we are going to have for Pastor, my dear most younger sister, Yomi Ute, joy is going to come in the morning. Thank you very much for this opportunity to eulogize and mourn a great, brilliant soul, Pastor Yomi Ute.
Wow. I must say this, that for every day we live, I mean you out there, including both of us seated and everyone at Mitv and Star FM, ensure that your well-being is well taken care of. Do not joke with those salient things that would keep you healthy. You don't necessarily have to eat the best meal. As long as you eat healthy, exercise well, sleep well, do those things that will keep you longer. I was talking with a colleague this morning, and they said he looked at himself and looked at those that have left and those that are aging. We talked about the old, what's his name now? Amta Bashar, that died at the age of 80.
Amita Bashar.
That died at the age of 89. And the next thing, this my colleague, and the next thing this my colleague said, in Yoruba Palace, we go up and down to make ends meet. At the end of the day, we leave and we take nothing with us. In Yoruba Palace. I'm trying to look for the best word to describe it. This word just failed me. This word just failed me. No. It shouldn't be now.
Okay, and Losode.
No, yeah. I know that one, but there's a popular way we put it. But the bottom line is pay premium priority to your health and well-being. Do not allow anything stress you unnecessarily. What you cannot solve today, there's a guarantee and a possibility that you solve it tomorrow. That's just my advice for you. Now let's leave there and of course come back home. Yes, still home, because we never left home. And talk about pressing issues that are still not left the surface of our society and the space itself. Before I delve into some of the talking points, because we're pressed for time, so we'll try as much as possible to manage every topic with the time we have left. Akin, first, let me put you on the spot. Is our sovereignty under threat?
Our sovereignty is under threat from a perception. And perception is reality. Our sovereignty is seriously under threat because we are not united. We have been fused together and we have refused to be fused. Our sovereignty is under threat because we have kept our eyes and gaze from being focused on what we should plan, replan, and unplan. Certainly, as we speak, our sovereignty is under threat because we are beleaguered, we are surrounded, we are decimated by terrorists, bandits, kidnappers, ritualists, attack for which over time and especially now we have not been able to find a comprehensive, we are trying, but a comprehensive answer to. You are trying to make an allusion to Yoruba saying, and there's a particular one that says that meaning, you know, those who are your core enemies are not necessarily people that are outside. They are within you. They are the discontent, they are the hungry and hungry, and because you have not done leadership, you've done rulership. Finally, our sovereignty is a threat because for the very first time that I can remember, a leader of America, in the world, maybe not necessarily morally, has threatened that he was going to attack those responsible for genocide against Christians in Nigeria. That has never happened. It does not mean that Christians are not being killed, Muslims are being killed, no doubt about that. We are shaking. There is a lot of tremor. So who says our leaders, our rulers, and those who have put us into this sorry state, and those of us who have supported them, but not giving them the kind of support that you get, who says that we can sleep? We are not. We cannot be asleep at all.
Fatuke, I would say again. You talked about we as a country, us as a country, not doing comprehensively what we should do to put an end to. You highlighted the Americans threatening to attack. Now, two questions now in less than 1 minute. 1 minute. Do you agree with the school of thought that says there is a genocide against Christians? One. That's number. On bandits, do we need external body to help us combat in less than 1 minute?
Yes, there is mass killing. It started with killing Christians and churches. It moved on to killing virtually everybody inside. I've had threats of the likes of Deborah, in Sokoto, that was hacked to death, one-on-one. I'll say there is a mass killing of the vast majority of Nigerians, of which Christians, people of faith, are taking some form of disproportionate number. Muslim, what the average Muslim and the average Christian have always preached about education, the Boko Haram said it is sin. Having not done this, me that should we now be moping and crying? Yes, like the prodigal child. Even the good book says, he just stopped one day and said, what exactly is it I'm doing in this kind of captivity? He stopped. He reconciled himself. On national television, I saw her, and I'm sure you must. On national television, I saw her, and I'm sure you must. She did this. We have failed collectively. We must go back and build this wall like Nebuchadnezzar of Jerusalem. The good book, called the Bible on one hand, and the axe on the other hand. We know them, we feel them.
Use that word. By the will of the people. That's if the will of the people eventually prevails in 2027. The administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu would elapse in 2031. Am I right?
All things being equal, yes.
Okay. But in our usual and old style of not embracing and embark would end in 2031. And this man has said Nigeria will be a center of excellence when it comes to counter-terrorism between the year 2025 that we are in now to 2030. So it means from 2031, you and I would have to deal with our own problems ourselves. That's because that's what I deduce. Now this is it. Now it says the National Security Advisor NSA Malam Nuhu Ribadu, who ordinarily for me should not, and what it would have on the citizen and the economy. It says that he expressed optimism that Nigeria would not only be safer and more secure by 2030, but would stand proudly as a recognized regional center of excellence for counter-terrorism and a beacon of resilience across the African continent. Okay. Akin Fatuke will react to this. I want to quote him now. He says, the strategic plan 2025, God bless you my director, to 2030 therefore emerges as both a roadmap and a national commitment building on the gains of national counter-terrorism strategy, aligning with the Terrorism Prevention and Prohibition Act of 2022 and reaffirming our vision of a secure, resilient and stable Nigeria capable of leading regional efforts against terrorism and violent extremism. Now this strategic plan, according to Nuhu Ribadu, is a product of extensive research, interagency collaboration and consultations across academia, civil society and our international partners. Akin Fatuke, I'll take a pause here. I'll put a pause on this here. Now this is it. We are still yet to combat insecurity. Akin, we have spent over 10 trillion. Governors, as far as what's it called now? Now, in all of this, we are still yet to combat insecurity. We have spent, and we still keep spending, and we'll keep spending because we have not used what we call our strategic knowledge to work all of this out. Now, to you, all I just read now, this short information I just read, what kind of sense does it make to you? Security agencies, government, civil society, and let me even say this. You see this new civil society group, the day you push this country into hell, you would understand that the country does not belong to you alone. It belongs to all of us. Okay, now I bring this to you now. Counter-terrorism, and like I highlighted earlier, the current administration, if by chance it returns to office, would end in 2031. Now the roadmap or whatever Nuhu Ribadu just highlighted has started and it will end in 2030. To you, what kind of sense does this make to you?
Thank you very much, Stanley. And if I sit here and I will say that you are, as we always say, you are blabbing, then I will be unfair, not just to my age, but to my experience and to communication. There has to be a reason why you are blabbing. So you are blabbing. Okay, I know people who will now look at what you have said and said, oh, well, you know, depending on what side of the fence you sit. But you have blabbed, or you have cried, or you are shouting because of the experience you have had.
Yeah.
All true. Who trusts what government says? How can we trust government? Because the whole thing is under the concept of trust.
Yeah, sure.
They and us. So I will not sweep away your fears and your anger. Having said that, Stanley, you know, okay, well, by virtue of my experience working in oil and gas, issues surrounding terrorism, counter-terrorism, corruption, just name them, governance, even the best of the best, when you collate them together, if you don't lead, you will eventually end up losing.
Sure.
But there is one thing. It is as I can take from the good book, the Bible as a historical book.
Yeah.
And I take Solomon and the way and manner he educated between those two women, one that slept on the child and said the child was hers and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. If you were reading the Bible and you saw Solomon said, I am going to cut this child into two, apart from trepidation, your first call is to say, this man is wicked, this man is wicked. But he was going somewhere. Yoruba say that tí ọwọ́ ẹni ò bá tẹ ẹ̀kú dà a kì í béèrè ikú tó ń pani. If you do not have your hand, not just on the sabre, not just wanting to sabaratu, but on the handle of the machete, you don't go around and say who killed or did not kill my child. Give the benefit of the doubt that something fundamental is about to happen in a very short time in Nigeria between now and the next elections that is going to make or mark. We have been exposed diametrically. Why do you think Nuru Nibadu, Nigeria will not be the Nigeria that we are all going to be looking at? Nigeria will not be the Nigeria that we are all going to be looking at. Why do you think, supposition now, scenario, that's what we call it in planning, why do you think Bola Ahmed Tinubu, what and all, he's not seeing the handwriting on the wall? Yes, he is one of them. He has been part on the wall. Yes, he is one of them. He has been part and parcel of ABCD. Why do you think he has not seen the end? Today, we are not able to know how to scale the fence, obviously from everything that you've said, and I share it with you. Should I sit down here and trust? In your backyard, they are still kidnapping, they are still doing so many other things, and then you are now saying by so number of years, Nigeria is going to be a regional hub. It's a prayer. It's a hope. But you have to be able to work those hopes by going to the foundation. The foundation is that if the foundation to the building is not on solid ground, all these other ones that you are saying are just grandstanding.
Definitely.
Just because you want to. So that foundation is simple. Nigeria is of different tongues and different tribes. Nigeria must get to the throes of looking at the same vision and objective. Yeah. And so if our visions and objectives are going to be different, we must find a way to go on our different ways. When we go on our different ways and we formulate a solidity of how we are going to relate, I don't see how that conglomeration, that confederation that you, with some identical affinity, cannot be the hub very proud of. Look at Oshodi. At one point in time, very proud of. Look at Oshodi. At one point in time, we never believed during Fashola's time, that Oshodi could be turned in an ocean of sanity, that clans in that area are well settled. So it is an integrated plan development between what Ribatu has said and the El Dorado is still a lot
card with the intelligence of Nigerians. And I make bold to say this, they all are playing cards with the intelligence of Nigerians. It should start now. Don't look at the future when you've not started now. Good. Time ago, we failed to. Now you're looking at 2030. Yes, every administration would say, we inherited this, we inherited this. What's your job? Posterity is that ultimate man that judges you when you leave, either when you leave office or you leave any position. What do you want to be remembered for? And like I said, and I will always maintain, Mr. President is just focused on winning 2027 election. Now think of this. How come it's when it gets to any electioneering period, most importantly second term, that's when the ugly faces of bandits, abductors raises its head? How come we've not even sat to say what are those strategic means? Look at the treaty. It's because we signed a treaty with the American government. That's why they can boldly look at us in the eyes and call us a country of particular concern. It's a national disgrace. Angola is not even close to half of Nigeria. There are some countries in Africa that are not even close to half of they don't own what we have in Nigeria. America has not looked at them in the eyes. I understand the part of America. Each time America invades one country, tell me there's ISIS somewhere. I've forgotten the country now. So it's not because America has good intention for Nigeria. No. All those of you calling for America to invade Nigeria, if you know the ripple effect, and the aftermath of what all of that would cause, you would not pray for all of this to happen. You will not pray for all of this to happen. So I think first and foremost, as a people, we need to wake up. As a government, you have completely failed the people. Religious leaders, traditional rulers, I am sorry to say this, but I owe no one any form of apology. You have failed. You have failed. And Malanu Ribadu, yes, you've been appointed. You were a former EFCC chairman. You don't have an idea of what operations means or how it works. But then I rub your back, you rub my back. That's what we practice in this part of the world, and I must say that it is what it is. I'll go on a quick break. When we come back, I have a guest in the studio. Yes, we'll also be touching on several national issues. Don't go anywhere. Bumper Breakfast continues in a bit.
Santa, all I want this holiday
is special family time.
Whenever you come around family, you can find love.
To go on an adventure.
Tickets to every game.
Some giggles.
And a puppy.
Let's go!
Yippee!
This holiday, simply stay connected and get all you want on DSTV. Your entertainment.
Cabin for landing.
I hope there shall be no drum.
Stop doing that! I was so excited to have you here.
I would tell you, you're gonna get whooped again.
Who is coming?
You will go.
Progress no dey happen just like that. It dey come from support when you need am.
Mommy, I got the school fees. You too much.
The point to
Money points, thank you.
customer, na transfer, Abi, confirm.
Bro, na transfer.
Na money point, Oga. Oh, na confirm.
Progress na peace of mind when you know say payment go land as sure banker.
All right, welcome back. Still the Bumper Breakfast, and this time we have been joined. We're two now. We're now three. So, like I say, three is not a crowd. These three we're seated to analyze without sentiment, but then sometimes we have to say it the way it is. I'm being joined by Oluwaseyi Akoni. He's a public affairs analyst, and my first question to Seyi this morning, just like I asked Akifatike. Seyi, good morning. First and foremost.
Good morning.
Seyi, is
I would like to believe so, and I want to also incline with that thought that we are under serious threat in this country.
Would you also?
But I feel our security architecture is totally damaged, and the presidency needs to pay more attention in securing lives and properties in this country.
Now, Seyi, Akifatike said something earlier that we have not comprehensively dealt with security threats in this country. Over 250 Chibok girls were abducted. Until date, nothing has been said regarding their release. The Bring Back Our Girls campaign came, and after complaints, lamentations, different charges, nothing seemed to be working. Now, let's look at two major institutions. Aside from the Chief of Army Staff and other security operatives, the National Security Advisor position and the Ministry of Defense. These are two major offices that ordinarily a civilian should not hold. Why? It has to do with someone who is vastly experienced in terms of has faced. Now, Nuhu Ribadu, Security Advisor, the Ministry of Defense, and the Ministry of State for Defense is handled by Bello Matawale, who was a former governor of Zamfara State, who had little or no background as far as combating insecurity is concerned. To you, rob my bag, I rob your bag, at the expense, at the detriment of human lives.
We structured the security organization and made it an NSA. Then 3 agencies were placed under the office of the ONSA, that is the Directorate of Military Intelligence, the State Security Services, and the National Intelligence Agency, which deals with the. And then we saw what played out whose area of session has to do with information gathering also.
Yeah.
And who is now the ONSA. Now, does it command the respect of those servicemen? That's one question we need to ask ourselves. Now, when you look at the Ministry of Defense, bringing in a former governor that held meetings with bandits in Zamfara State during his time as governor, making him a minister for defense. And I felt that should have been an edge for him to understand how to tackle it and who are the kingpins, who are the leaders of those groups. Now, as a minister for defense, I expected Bello Matawale to have more powers or more vast apparatus to tackle bandits, which he may not have when he was governor of Zamfara. We saw the whole killings in Zamfara when he was governor, and I expected him to have done the needful within this 2-year timeline of being minister for defense. But unfortunately, it seems the presidency is paying lip service to the issue of security in this country, and this is people's lives and properties at stake. We've seen massive abductions of schoolgirls, villages being razed down, being burnt down, and it's saddening to see that I know a lot of us had hopes on the Ashwaji presidency to tackle a lot of key areas of our governance. But unfortunately, we are back to 2014. 2014 was the height of kidnappings and abductions and terrorism in this country, and now we are seeing a similar template. For me, I'm seeing that a deja vu come to play, because when you look at the series of abductions here, the church attacks, this and that, you begin that it is 2014 coming all over again. And why does this now have to come around electioneering period?
The same question I asked. It's always every second time an electioneering period of different administrations. That's when the ugly heads of abduction, banditry, and insurgency begins to raise up. Now, just like you said, this is something we ought to have nipped in the bud. Former president, late now, a military head of state, but now as a civilian, a military head of state, but now as a civilian, he ran the administration of this country.
Speak to their conscience, actually. But these days, we can't really say that is going on. And he was at play, and he decided to do what? To sacrifice his own ambition for the peace and sanity of the country. So I don't want to subscribe to the fact that Asiwaju's hand are tied. The Asiwaju that I think I know is a very dogged and very dauntless man. If you look at his political ideology and his history, you see his hands can't be tied in any situation, except he does not want to do what he wants to do. Except he's not fully convinced in his mind. I do not want to believe that right now his hands are tied. I don't want to believe that he does not know. But when you look at the last reshuffling of the service chiefs, so just a smell of a coup being played, and there was a complete rejig. It tells you that it doesn't give a damn about anybody. He's ready to shake tables. But I'm still wondering why this table of this band. I don't always like to call them bandits. I prefer calling them terrorists, because by the definition of bandits are people who loot things, talk for ransom. For me, they're actually a terrorist organization with whatever identity they might, tribal identity they give themselves. I believe they are terrorists, whether they are Muslims, whether they are Christians, whether they are Hausas or Fulanis or Yorubas or Igbos, they have a common name. They are terrorists, and we should not allow these people to breathe in our nation. The government should take it bull by the horn and find a way to deal decisively with these elements.
The same thing, the same comment that was made by the Sultan of Sokoto. Deal decisively with whoever is trying to bring the sanity and the peace of the nation into disrepute. Now, Akinfatuke has laid his own opinion, but then I will ask Sheyi, the National Security Advisor, Nuru Ribadu, yesterday said between the year 2025 and 2030, and I did my calculation. I'll tell you my calculation now. That between 2025 that we are in now and by the year 2030, Nigeria will become a center of excellence for counter-terrorism. We are yet to counter terrorism in Nigeria. We are looking at 2030. Now, perhaps we've not thought about it. Should President Bola Ahmed Tinubu return to office by 2027, it means its administration will run through till 2031, right? Now, my first question is this. From what Nuru Ribadu said, there seems to be no out of continuity. Because if you're saying, having consulted civil society organizations, sister security agents or agencies as it were, by 2030, safety by our hands. Because I see no reason why it would, because to me, if you had said Nigeria would, if you had put a date, I wouldn't have had issues with it. But saying by 2030, between 2025 and 2030, Nigeria will become a center of excellence for counter-terrorism, and yet we have not countered terrorism in our society. What do you make of this?
You know, I've always wondered why Obasanjo brought in certain technocrats into his government between 1999 and 2007. And I've come to realize that was the best decision any president could have taken for this country at that time. But when you have people who have political ambitions within your government, somebody who has an ambition to be president in charge and outrageous comments to the media, because he probably feel within the APC, the Northeast might get the nod from the APC wing, and he stand a better chance among the Northeastern political class. And now he's making an outrageous statement that by 2030. So are we going to experience killings from 2025 to 2020 before you make Nigeria center of excellence for counter-terrorism? You have not dealt with the 1 week of Red Nation we experienced in the last 7 days. You have no answers to this thing. You have not done, for me, I feel they've not done anything in particular to save these lives and property or to prevent further occurrences. You wake up every morning, you see attempted murders, villages burned down. You go to Southern Kaduna, look at how they keep being attacked. Go to Jos, go to Zamfara, go to Kebbi, go to Nasarawa, you go to Kwara, go to Benue, go to Enugu, and the list goes on like that. Even in Katsina. And you see all these things happening here and there every day, and you're coming to tell us by 2030. So are we going to sit down, fold our arms, and watch our fellow Nigerians being slaughtered in cold blood, or being abducted for ransom and made them go through an inhumane treatment? I've spoken to a kidnapped victim, and he was made to trek. He was one of the victims of the Abuja Kaduna train hijack, and they were made to trek for 18 hours in the bush.
Lord have mercy.
With no water, no food. and with injuries, they don't give a damn if you have to keep moving, or they shoot you and bury you with a shallow grave in the bush. And this is an horrible experience. And when I was speaking to the victim in Kaduna at that time, and I was overwhelmed. I could not go on with that section anymore, because it's sad when you hear the ordeals of these people who are in the side of these people, and you want us to also experience the same thing, or fold our arms and wait till after 2027 election and hope that by 2030 you will have done the needful. That's to me, that's a politically inclined statement. You're telling us to give you a second term in office while and wait for 2030, everything will be fine. You have the luxury. In 5 years, you have the luxury of how many lives will be lost in 5 years. In 1 week, we saw over 100 abductions and killings.
And even the ones that were released, Mr. President didn't tell us how and what they are released. Well, some persons are also of the opinion that ransom was paid to get them released. Because ordinarily, if there was a counter-attack for their release, I'm sure you would have been everywhere in the media. Let's leave it at that. I won't say more than that. The Minister of Information job and role is to give us not what we want to hear alone, but what we should know. If a man who has been saddled with the responsibility of informing the general public comes out to make, I don't know, is it that they don't undergo PR training? Because there's something they call public relations. And if you cannot relate with the public, because take it or leave it, we are in a world where it's now digitalized. You say this thing, wait for it in the next 3 hours. It's everywhere. Now, what am I saying? This is what the Minister of Information said. He said there is a reason why they have not done what prosecuted terrorism financiers. Dele Alake said there are solid men in Nigeria behind our illegal mining. After he made that statement, Baba went to sleep, because I'm sure threats came. So you would also Governor Hope Uzodinma gave us a date and time to release the names of financiers of terrorists in this country. It got to that day, Baba changed mouth. Another agency, since Professor Jerry Garner left, has died a natural death. Mohammed Idris says federal government has not prosecuted individuals suspected of financing terrorism because the process requires extensive and delicate investigations. Since 2014, we have been investigating. PDP came. That's like 10 years now. 10 years now, and they are still investigating. Now, it says that because of the process requires extensive and delicate investigations that cannot be rushed. He said that contrary to public perception, the matter was not as simple as having a list and immediately taking suspects to court. Let me quote him now. I'm looking for a quote here now. He said it's not a question of having the list or not having the list. It's not as simplistic as that. Simplistic as that. Investigations have to be conducted. In some cases, there are merits in what they said. So there's always a reason, an advantage to kidnapping and abduction. Okay. He said you don't say because pronouncements have been made, let me take you to court directly. There must be sufficient investigations. Why then did Hope Uzodinma say that he has of people financing terrorism in this country? To you, Akifatuke,
thank you.
What does that statement mean to you?
It's a statement of an admittance of failure, lack of rigor. Please permit me.
Go ahead.
On seriousness, you do not have the political mind to tackle that aspect, because the security situation that we are talking about, the unknown gunmen, the ones that are known, etc., is Hydra-headed. You've got to get back to the roots. If you are looking at the flowers, you're looking at the foliage leaves, the time they dry, and then you're using it just like the 6 or 7 or 8 or 9 blind men of Hindustan, you will be picking different things that make sense to you at a particular point in time. You have to really get. And even at the best of wanting to balance, I like to credit the Bola Ahmed administration that did a bit of a dance and song sometime not too long ago, and we saw a list published of some terrorist financiers. Number 1 on that list was Tukur Mamu, the in-between for with bandits, Sheikh Igumi. If I'm not wrong, in that first list were about 15 names. So that one was brought out, and then what happened that you are perceptibly shielding politics, perhaps then famous, but now infamous, forgive them. All these names, not only is it unknown, they were provided to us. Many of them had, at least their counterparts outside our country have been them. And then it's used different languages which I don't support. But I mean, if you have a crack in the wall, you allow all manner of lizards to get in there. So, matter of fact, this is not Alhaji Idris's best moment as Minister of Information. As a viceroy of Mr. President, we don't believe you are still not being serious. Even at the low-hanging fruit, something I want to say. In 2023, we had about 3 or 4 contenders. Whether you like them or you don't like them, perhaps they will have been president of Nigeria. The first on that equation was Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, followed. We still have the modicum of problems I think we have in Nigeria. Yes, they might have tried to drag it one way or the other. And I'll tell you why we still have that problem. So, they were not presidents like Bola Ahmed Tinubu. At least those that are still jostling here and there. I put it with all sense of responsibility to resolve the problems that are hydra-headed in Nigeria. And the problem that are hydra-headed in Nigeria goes back to the root. And the root says that we have a federation, we are lying to ourselves that we are in charge, and we are lying to ourselves that we run the affairs under a democracy. Fella call it demo. We are all crazy, and that's the truth. So you get there, do your own, and then leave it, and all that. The root cause is that we must all sit down. We don't need guns. When we sit down and say, look, this is not working, this cannot work, whether in 2031, whether in 2040, I don't know how many people will still be alive then. If you don't get back to this root and say, look, to your tents, go do things the way you want to do.
Yeah.
Go look at your resources the way you want to look at your resources. Take a decision of how or what you still want to put into the center, if you choose to continue to have that center. Yeah. I know it's harsh, I know it's tough, I know it's difficult. Some people will tell me that I'm a bit of patriotic, but I'm speaking now because, you know, like you and him and those who are listening to us, we're all having children. I don't want my children to come to my graveyard and pee and say, what did you say? So I'm saying it clearly that the root cause of the Nigerian problem is the fact that we are not united. We are different in all respects. We are lying that Nigeria is, it's not negotiable. It is negotiable. We must negotiate Nigeria. We must take firm decisions that each person goes his or her own different ways, develop
the region,
whatever region, Stop looking at oil. Stop looking at. You can be arid today, but from that, Abraham, with little or nothing, was able to turn an arid land into a land of prosperity. We can learn from there. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Aki Fatike, for that incisive analysis. Now, Shay, quickly, do you share, in his own opinion, and what's your take to what the Minister of Information and National Orientation put out there?
You know, like you rightly said, the minister knows Nigerians don't believe what he has said. Yeah. Within himself, he has that conviction that whatever he has come out to say to the public is totally not acceptable, and the Nigerians are not taking it. But I think he knows that he has to put out a statement due to him because of the office he occupies. He can't just go extremely silent on this. So there's need for him to put out prosecuting terrorist financiers. When he says it's not here and there, it takes a lot of processes, he does this, he does that. And I begin to ask myself, how long will it take to actually prosecute terrorist financiers? How long are we going to fold our arms and watch these people put the nation into ruins? And you look at these things and you begin to understand that these are statements that are inclined politically to various interests. And coming back to what Mr. Akifadoki said about everybody going to their tents and what are you going to bring back to the central, I think right from 2014, this current APC government has been promising us on that statement, regional confederacy, and up to date they've been playing lip service. It featured in Buhari's manifesto. That's true. At point in time they formed a committee headed by Nasir El-Rufai to look at the report, and
very true.
Till this moment they've not actually done anything. So they've been using this lip service game to come up to us at every point in time, because they know Nigerians are actually clamoring for that regional system of government. Let's devolve these powers to regions, and let's go back to our roots and build our bases, and whatever we can contribute to the center from the resources we do. It has worked in the past, and definitely governments where everybody goes to the center. If you don't have these issues of presidency centered into one person's office, and you have regions at the best and at their strengths, you discover that all these terrorism, banditry and things will naturally die this course, because you can actually see your backyard more than somebody sitting far away looking at you. And look at the way the South, and they had a meeting with the stakeholders, and they said, no, this is not what we want. These people do not represent us. And you saw gave consent to the military to come and destroy this setup for them. Not at this point in time, because even their so-called leaders are actually becoming intermediates and intermediaries, for the terrorists. So when you look at both scenarios, that it's best we go back to the regional system of government, but current APC leadership system have the political will to take that decision, right? And sure that the political will to take that decision, right? And sure that restructuring was fair agenda, and it never came to light on 2 occasions. And this is the 3rd time anything restructuring so far. So it seems they just come up every electionary period to sing the song of restructuring to Nigerians, to embrace them, and they go into office and they begin to do something else. So it's sad me, honestly.
Now, I agree in totality with these 2 men here, but I must say that there's so much largesse to share from the federal allocation, which has now made all the 36 states of the federation, including the FCT governors, lazy. Now, it's good when you manage your resources. For example, just picture how much Nigeria would make, or Zamfara State would make, from gold. In Nasarawa State, there is mining. These are states that are rich, and as a country, government chairman made away with 512 million naira. Now you want to trust the allocation of your local government in the hands of a chairman. Now, where would this trust come from? Because from the grassroots, you cannot trust. The trust has long been lost. From the grassroots, trust yourself, believe in what you can do, and stay focused, stay positive. Well, I am also of the opinion that Nigeria would once again be great. Let's leave that and talk about, yes, as much as we want to talk about insecurity, foreign direct investment or investors will come in if there's no conducive environment for business to thrive. There's no how small scale, medium enterprise or enterprises as it were will thrive if the environment is not sustainable. Now, what do I mean? Razak Olokoba was here yesterday, and over time, Nigerians have been side of it. Like you and I would agree, he that calls the piper dictates the tune for his own benefit. Now, first things first, let's look at what we should do. All Southwest governors sat yesterday in Ibadan, and they unanimously are talking about abduction, killings, and maimings. Now it's not drawing closer. The Owo massacre is still there. Nothing has been said about it. Nobody has been brought to book. Nobody has released of these church members. Now, state policing, Sheyi, is this the way to go in Nigeria? I remember Sunday Igboho at the point in state policing.
No.
Okay.
I completely disagree with state policing. When you look at occurrences, events that have taken place in the past, and you ask yourself, are we actually ready for state policing? And I'll tell you no. A couple of days ago, you saw the drama at the PDP National Secretariat, where the state police and the federal police, quote unquote, had engaged each other. What I mean, for scenario of state police versus federal police attacking each other, and you saw the disgrace to those officers displayed on that day. And you look at the Amechi incident with the former commissioner of police in Rivers State, Umba, at the College of Art and Sciences in 2013. You saw this incident. You look at and elevate themselves to mini emperors and major emperors within their domain. What I do not want is all I believe is we need a complete rejig of our security architecture, and state policing should not be factored into that restructuring. Honestly. Okay,
Akifatuke, you heard what she just said. Because we're pressed for time, we need to touch on other topics. Now, do you share in his opinion, or you think the governors have now been pushed to the wall to say,
friend, my dear brother, like I told you, if he doesn't believe in it, doesn't mean that we should say he should shut his mouth. He gave us reasons why, and also told us why he does not believe. Did we not have regional police at one point in time? And we ended up with so-called wild wests. Alexander Pope was clear. For form of governance, let's all sit down and continue to argue. Whatever is best administered is best. On the other side of the argument is the fact that federal unified police, where has it taken us to? We are still also not there. We are still also not there. Is it Mr. President retaining an Inspector General of Police? I like him, no doubt about that. That ought to have retired, but for whatever reason is still in there. Is it what has just happened at Kogi State, in Niger State? And for good measure, as we are speaking, is still happening elsewhere, that you say that a federal unified force will be able to take. And then, of course, governors who perhaps are not up to the task to creatively, right? We have one or two exceptions, to creatively do something, even when you still have it as central command. We have to first of all press a button to Abuja, and before that one comes, they will have had to drive away a diplomatic answer. So let's leave state police. So let's leave constitutional review. Let's leave, just call it anything that you want to call it, that we need. But can we now begin to have happened if we had a state police, if we had this?
Like
some form of economic restructuring. Do you now understand why I'm going back to the roots? Is that under this president, hating, I use the word hate as much as we want to. That's not the issue. This is not a sentimental thing. boldly, assertively, government administration that should be taking their funds from source. Buhari tried it, he didn't succeed. Bola Ahmed Tinubu took it on, once and all. He's facing a lot of challenge, basically because of what Sheyi had just said here. And you don't allow the kind of freedom and capacity to go to the grassroots. And you say we are running a federation. The second, also very important, is also from the economic perspective. Lately, this same President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, like him or hate him, does not matter, but attempted what has never been attempted before in the history of our country. He introduced something that we call tax reforms. When this issue of tax reform that shows this is white, this is black, take more from the people who are rich, don't tax the people who are poor. This same Nigeria, in this same country, National Assembly were attacking, saying no, you should not see the light of day. Meaning, beyond the safety, security issues that we are talking about, even Nigerians don't know what they want. We certainly don't know what we want. So, and I am of the philosophical belief that says, look, when you are in a marshland, the most that you are going to do is you begin to jump up. But the more you jump, the more you are going to sink. And that is the truth. So sometimes you want to cling on to the deep blue sea or whatever. I would say, on the issue of state police, whether we are going to call it something different, in a way, the Nigerian police force as presently constituted has to be. We must have some form of force, which I guess the Amotekun was trying to do, and then in Kobo's constitution that you can't carry arms and all that. We have to have some form of community policing. Let's break it down. Yes, we have the fear, and it's the truth, that when they get to the hand of the state governors, they will begin to do, so you bring the inefficiency in the center, you bring it to state. Yes, it is possible. Let's strengthen our institutions at the local government level. I am therefore saying that what others have not looked at in terms of what President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is making and is making an attempt to do, to come through the back door, to now find a way to make sure that at least at the grassroots, so that when you now get to the main door, question of state police or not state police, the question of immunity to governors or no immunity to governors, they all have to be comprehensively tackled. If you continue to do the same thing and expect different results, it's going to be absolutely tough. Look at Lagos State, not just Sanwo-Olu. Over time, have decided that yes, we don't have the control of the police. However, we have a control of our resources, and we are going to reach out to the private sector. And the trust fund came into being. What were we getting? What was Lagos State getting from the federal? From there, the hands of Esau and the voice of Jacob came to be. Very unlikely. I'm saying it's not possible. It happened to Sanwo-Olu at Magodo, no doubt. But very unlikely that you are going to have a situation where the state commissioner of police will treat a Sanwo-Olu the way Mba treated Amechi.
Thank you so very much. So it means what he just invariably said is we will have a state commissioner of police who will be answerable to the state governor. It's as simple as that. Now quickly, before we review the papers in less than 5 minutes, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar finally Why not they laugh now? Why not they laugh now? I'm gonna allow me to talk first now. Why not they laugh?
No.
Hold on, Aki.
I will tell you why I laugh.
Hold on, Aki. You didn't only laugh. So you also laughed.
No, honestly, it's not because of what you said.
Okay.
It was when you asked the question and then you did like this as a goalkeeper. When they don't score goal against. But
because what's his name now? Atiku Abubakar has scored several goals. But none of that is related to
against
3 points.
himself.
No, 3 points now. There's a difference between you scoring goals and
you winning the match.
And you winning the match. Now, both of you now, because I need to review the papers. Finally, Manga Tuko and later, not the Musa Yaradua, Shehu Yaradua. Don't you think this man should, at this point in time, be an elder statesman instead of saying I want to be a president? Since late former president vied until Ashwaju said, okay, let's just support you and become president. Who says anything can happen for Atiku Abubakar? Do you think at this point in time, Atiku Abubakar should be worrying himself, or perhaps he has a solution to Nigeria's problem? Because in less than 5 minutes we need to do this so we can treat the newspaper.
I mean, a solution to Nigeria's problem is not a statement, a claim anybody can make at this point. Because I believe if you have a solution to this problem, you'll have formed a shadow cabinet. You have been rolling out policies and
the same shadow cabinet Patu Tomi was almost prosecuted for.
Because they actually give titles.
Real opposition.
Real opposition. Yes. But Patu Tomi is not. No. He's an economist.
What they have done was to also give counter opinions, counter policies, policy directions, and then advise the government of the day or tackle them heads on separate policies and profile alternatives to these things. But unfortunately, we've not seen any opposition done that in the last couple of years in Nigeria. So I wouldn't want to believe anybody who wants to lay claim that they have the solution to Nigeria's problem. Just like Mr. Aki said earlier, if any of the 4 candidates had won at that time, they'll probably still be around the same vein we are right now in this nation, because this problem is agile-headed. It's not something you can just sit back and say, this one I'll cut it off. No, the next one is going to smooth. So I believe Atiku Abubakar is trying to also put his feet into the ring and also wants to see if he can solve Nigeria's problem. I might also declare for presidency next week. Mr. Aki can also declare for presidency too if he feels
you have financial power to.
Of course, the financial thing is one of the reasons why a lot of us cannot even make those attempts.
Okay.
But for me, I feel it's a good thing if the PDP is going down and draining themselves and he has an ambition. It's best when he moves to another party. Since political parties have become special purpose vehicles for Nigerian politicians because there's no ideology. So kudos to him. Let's wait for what he wants to do with his new found love.
Okay. Akifatuke, in less than 1 minute or 2. What would this do? Hold on, because you are eager to lay the cat out of the bag. But because of press for time, we'll just run through this quickly. What would this do to the ADC hierarchy as a prepare convention and who their anointed candidates would be? Definitely on paper, it looks like the Turaki of Adamawa might just be the candidate of the ADC. So in less than a minute, so we'll just run through the paper quickly.
And why I was going to rush is that because I was going to solve this. For those who are about my age, and perhaps who have also read history, there was a time in the Western Ring, people who listen to Demonimowa, Porowo mi orinu mi, Demonimowa. Yoruba, the Yorubas. Saying, I can tell you I am running for presidency. I can tell you I am against whatever it is. It is what you are hearing me say. I have in the belly of my heart. I'm shaking the table. I've started shaking this table for a long time. I have an uncanny belief that Atiku Abubakar, beyond all the posturing that we see, is supporting Bola Ahmed Tinubu by his actions and inactions. This is painful. He is supporting Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Forget it. Why did I say that? Number one, it's good that we had a third force. What happened to have been a Peter Obi? Take it or leave it. Rather than Peter Obi get in there, frustrate the man anyway, and by going to ADC, to now go and try his hands, Shoroye, you know the Shoroye in football, Mighty Jets of Jaws back in the, that's another story entirely. By going back there, you have clearly surrendered for Bola Ahmed Tinubu to get his second term effortlessly. So what you need to now be doing is look for everything, look for people that will attack Nigeria, look for our fault lines, look for how to call him a drug addict, begin to just continue to do all the things that you need to do, blame every other person. Truth of the matter is what Turaki has done. And look at him straight in the eyes and say he has decided, without necessarily voicing it out, to shut people like Peter Obi, who unfortunately will still continue. Where you are now going to now then see the thing. So my uncle, my brother is going to call Turaki, and when uncle and brother that are on the direction that are facing Ekpe and say they are going to Kwara Namoda, well, they will get there, they will go through the Atlantic of a truth that the Turaki has indirectly endorsed the second term of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, hate him or like him.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm very sorry. That's why I was laughing, because you are doing your hand like Okala's own back in the day, but I was just.
You see, one of the Okala's have no cash for this. All right, I wish you could go on and on, but then we'll wrap up the bumper breakfast without taking a look. Start with the Punch newspaper this morning, and let's start with the Punch newspaper this morning. And the first major story here, the banner headline says, governors convene emergency session, schools lockdown rise. Southwest plan forest surveillance, unions lockdowns, Tinubu reject mercenaries. Above the nameplate, 6 state assemblies and police tighten security in Lagos schools, worship centers is now beginning to stir us in the eyes. And finally, inflation, MPC may cut interest rates again today. And from there we'll go straight to let's go straight to for 2026. Pledges fair human approach to secular road issues, vows, compensation, resettlement options. NNPCL declares facts for 2024. Those are the stories on the front page of the Nigerian Tribune. And from the Nigerian Tribune, we'll go straight to the Nation newspaper this morning. And just a few stories here. It says, Southwest rises against bandits. Governors plan forest surveillance to halt terrorist incursion. It's time for state police, so says Southwest Governor. Bajoru, through to tackle threats, how Tinubu coordinated rescue of Eruku 38. Okay, Mr. President, thank you, sir. At least the family military decries complexity of threats as Southwest governors call for state police. You find that on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper this morning. And student compliance. Okay, good. UK rejects Nigeria's request to deport Ekwere Madu. You find that on page 4 of the Guardian newspaper. And finally, Nigeria-US deepen security ties as Washington offers support for M-Belt. You find that on page 3 of the Guardian newspaper this morning. Now, those are the papers that made it this morning. And quickly, before I bounce out of the studio this morning, I really, if I didn't do this, this guy would just, I don't know. I don't let me use the other word, but I'm very sure he won't be happy.
Smart, very intelligent.
Thank you so
much.
Thank you.
I gained a lot comparing with you today.
It's always good when we share ideas. Informed opinion, like I've always said, we are here to always dissect, analyze without any form of defamatory statement. As long as we're not sentimental, please take it as it is. I won't leave without wishing them DJ Adex. They are in our family. From all of us at MITV, the Bumper Breakfast and Star FM will say, long life, more prosperous years and good health. You would live to make your dad and your mom and every other person or people around you proud. Age with grace and lines will fall in pleasant places for you. This year's celebration would not be your last. From all of us, we say, have fun and do have yourself a lovely day. From myself, yours truly, Stanley Paul Ikau, and to the wonderful gentlemen that have analyzed every of the topic we brought to you this morning, I want to say thank you so very much. To everyone that have contributed to today's production, Olatunji Badmus, I wish you speedy recovery. Afa Hussein, thank you so very much. And of course, how can I forget Abi? To Engineer Mojid Wasiu, thank you so very much. And Olani, Engineer Olani, thank you so very much. To our wonderful cameraman, Sunday Adeogun, Samson Ajayi, and Idowu Itasomi. To you out there, How can I forget our interns? They also contributed to today's production. To you out there, like I've always said, you are the reason why we are always here Mondays through Fridays to bring in nothing but the best of information, like I've always said, that you can use. My name is Stanley Paul Ikao. The Bobo Breakfast make a return tomorrow. This time around, Vera Soko will be around. All things being equal, Barrister Pink would also be here, and Robin Emmanuel Oluwafemi will also be here to share their own thoughts regarding tomorrow's topic. From me to you, if you do have yourself